Welcome to the project, everyone. Today we are back on the Crosstrek, and it should be pretty exciting. So let's give you some backstory. So we got here our 2013 Subaru Crosstrek. We've done some things, you know, lift and a little bit of other things, but the motor just like completely died in it. It's actually sitting over there. So motor died, Crosstrek, we already know it's pretty gutless. So we decided instead of doing an FB20 motor, we tried to build an FB25. And just been one challenge after another to actually get this FB25 motor together. I did buy like a new short block from someone on the used market, and they also gave me another motor, and it's been a long journey. You can check out the other videos on our channel and everything where we get up to this point, but essentially we have our new FB25. So it's a new short block, new heads from a 2016 to 2018 Legacy. And then we've got our cams from our FB20 with the hydraulic adjustment on that, or variable cam timing. Yeah, so last episode we got all the chains on here, and I was looking at my hydraulic tensioners, and I might have tried to show this somewhere in another video, but essentially when I'm driving the Crosstrek before, I could hear the chains slapping inside of here. And I knew that sound from like dirt biking and the chains hitting the chain guard under like low RPM, higher load a little bit. You could hear it like wobble. So I'm a little suspect of these chain tensioners. And the new ones we got, or the newer ones that we got from someone else, they also, I think, were broken. So we got those parts in. We're gonna put those on and then continue buttoning up this motor. So here's our new chain tensioners. Let's get them on. So this is hilarious because like in here in the manual, they say like stick an Allen wrench or something in there. And in the pictures, they had this like thumbtack in there. And I'm like, what in the world? Yeah, I mean, there's not like a sharp edge on there, but yeah, they have a thumbtack in there. One of these has like an O-ring, and then this one is the one that doesn't have an O-ring. So, oh, this is the O-ring guy. And look at that plunger on there. That's pretty funny. And then this is non-O-ring guy. Well, the memory card kind of died there, but we got the oil pan upper and the oil pan on, and you saw me kind of hitting over here, and that's because I didn't read the manual when I took it apart, and so I actually used a screwdriver to pry this up. What we're supposed to do is actually use like a putty knife or something. Oh, that's not fully set up. And cut it off and then pull it. Don't pry it off. So I think I fixed it. It should seal up. So we got all this together. Now we can flip the motor back over. And next is the timing chain. So we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. before we can put the timing chain cover on, we need to clean it. I need to clean these gasket surfaces. And probably the most questionable thing on this build for me is actually the oil pump. I don't think I can buy just an oil pump. You have to buy like the whole cover together. And yeah, it sucks. This is the only cover I have, and it has the actuators for the variable valve timing. But man, I kind of wish I could replace the oil pump here. What an interesting design. So yeah, we're gonna clean it up. I'm gonna get as much of the oil out as I can. And then when we do go to like the first start and stuff, I'm gonna really, hopefully I can look in the computer and just make sure that this oil pump is actually giving us the pressure that we want. Because I just want to make sure the old motor didn't fail because this oil pump was a little bit lackluster. But yeah, kind of sucks. I would have bought a new one, but not with the entire front case and everything like that. Supers are fun, just a little difficult in some ways. So yeah, let's get this cleaned up. Wow. Well, that's the last gluing that we have to do on this motor. A lot of gasket sealant. I think, and I don't want to jinx myself here, but I think we might have dodged a bullet. We might have gotten lucky. Because again, I forgot to put that one post on the new engine block. And so we had to take the cover off, put that on. And I really didn't feel like spending another hour cleaning everything off, re-degreasing everything. And I don't even know if I have enough silicone or enough sealant gasket to redo all of it. And so we just really carefully took it off, put on the post, and then put it back on. And looking at how it squeezed out and stuff, I think we might have gotten lucky. I don't think there'll be an oil leak, but there we go. Front timing chain cover on. I mean, how often do you see an FB25 with all four variable, wait, was that VVT? Variable valve timing actuators on there? Looking pretty good. It's starting to look like a motor. So let's, we're gonna replace that seal, and then we can put the pulley on and stuff, and then start buttoning up a little bit. I don't know where I'm gonna end this video, but. All right, guys, as you can see, we have started to put on some of the accessories. And as I put more and more on, I'm just gonna try to spot clean them a little bit, and we can start putting everything else on here. One quick note is that these heads are from a 2016, and the intake is actually a little bit different, and they were back ordered. So one of the pieces that I was really worried about is these little air vanes that sit on the intake here. They were back ordered. So again, I have these, but for the older style, and so I didn't have these for the newer style. And these were back ordered, and then when I ordered these and I was waiting for the order, I was like, hey, when are these gonna come in? They were like, you're the first person to have ever ordered them from us, so we don't know. But they did eventually come in. Our butts are saved, and I actually do kind of like the idea of these, even though they restrict the airway a little bit. I'm pretty sure with these, it's really gonna help the fuel atomize as it comes in, because these are pretty well engineered from what I can tell to really help the atomization of the fuel coming into the motor. So I didn't want to assemble the motor without these, and so I'm glad that they came in. So we got those in. We have like the whole intake, and we have like the water cross tube, and we've got our crank position sensor back here. We've got a bunch of stuff. So again, I'm just gonna spot clean as we put them on and start putting together some of this stuff. And I might have to search around a little bit. Injectors are gonna be a fun one. We're getting there, guys. I think we're getting there. And let's see if we can get the motor back together today. That'd be awesome. And then next video we can start putting it in. I just want to make a quick note here that things are coming along well, just fine, but I actually got this intake used on eBay, and there's actually quite a bit of soot buildup in here, and just grime and oil, carbon buildup. I guess that's probably what it is. And I think a lot of that is because of the evap system. So that's typically where you have your evap valve, or I forget what it's called, but it's basically a one-way valve, so that way air can come out of the crank, but not into the crank. And then from there, they literally just pipe it straight back into the intake in one of these holes. And that's why this whole intake is just kind of really crappy. There is a couple other ones, but for this main one that like pipes in all the oil and stuff, and I think they even do some of the exhaust gases, we're gonna actually modify this so that way it goes into our own oil catch can and then come back into the intake. But I'm just bringing this up because I do want to clean this intake so that way we have a fresh, clean, because I mean, like, our intake runners are just so clean right now. So I want to clean this up so we can just have clean all the way through and start fresh, and hopefully it won't get nearly as gummed up. Because if you remember, the FB20 motor that we blew up also had really bad grime buildup on the intake. So trying to mitigate that, we're going to clean this. Alright, so I just spent like the last 15 minutes just kind of really checking over everything, and it kind of started with our fuel line here. I just want to see exactly how it fit in, and so I put the intake on in here, and there's a lot going on here, so I thought I might as well like put this out on the internet in case anyone find it useful. So essentially we have, I believe, our return to our radiator here. From the engine block, we've got coolant coming in, and that's why this crossover tube thing sits in here. And the reason that it's like this is because exhaust gases from this side of the head actually come up in here, and the coolant just before it goes in the radiator actually works to cool down the exhaust gases. That's important because they actually shove the exhaust gases back in on the backside, and I'll show you. So yeah, we got coolant coming in here, out there. This other tube here, this is actually another vent from crankcase, and they actually have a decent bit of baffling up here in the front, and so there's no one-way valve or anything. This just goes straight back into the intake before the throttle body to eat gases from there. I don't know if I'll add this into our circuit for our catch can. Yeah, so then the fuel line here, we got two lines coming from the fuel tank. One of them is the pressurized for the fuel lines. This is a non-return system. And so the fuel line actually connects to the intake here and grabs in and goes to each side. The other tube from the gas tank actually goes into the intake here through this little valve in the back. So like, let's go to the back side and I can show you that. Okay, so there's a lot going on. So here is the crankcase fumes that go into before the throttle body. And then we have a line that comes in here to this little actuator or whatever. This is the fuel tank gases that come in through the top. We also have these two lines. This is going to the heater core and from the heater core. And then this extra line here, it goes through like, so the electronic throttle body, there's another actuator on there with two things. So this has to be coolant coming in, and then they adjust how much coolant goes into this crossover piece depending on how much, like how wide open the throttle is, the throttle percentage. And I guess maybe that's just to cool down, like, you know, when there's a wide open throttle, it cools down the exhaust gases more. Here's the return. So like exhaust gases come up over here, through there, through here, and then into the intake on the bottom there. What else? Yeah, that's coolant going in there. On this side, we have a one-way valve, an EGR valve, I think they call it. And that's where we're gonna put in our catch can, because I think a lot of the oil and stuff is coming from that, because that was just up into here after the throttle body. And like the intakes and stuff, it doesn't look super dirty, but after the throttle body, it's just filthy. And so I think this is our main culprit for where a lot of the oil and crap is coming from. I think a little bit from exhaust gases maybe, but mainly from this guy. So yeah, we're gonna add that into our circuit over there. Yeah, I think that's mainly it. I've really looked over this a ton just to make sure everything's plugged in. They're doing a lot with the coolant, with the exhaust gases, with the gas tank gases, with the crankcase gases in two places. There's just a lot going on. But looking at all of this, it does look like our 2016 Legacy intake will match up great for our Crosstrek. Like, I don't think there's going to be any issue. We cleaned it out. I will put on the Crosstrek throttle body because from what I can tell, they're the same, but I just want to be careful, and mine is a little bit better condition. So we're going to definitely do that. We have our NOx sensor, our crankcase position sensor, our crankshaft position sensor, EGR valve plugged in. We have everything plugged in. I need to take the intake off again and actually put on the seals, and then I can put it back on. But I'm kind of wondering if I should maybe do that after it's in, because it's going to be a lot easier to put the motor in with the intake off, so that way I'm not worried about damaging it at all. But I don't know, maybe I'll strap it down. Do a chain from here to there. Yeah, we should actually be fine with leaving the intake on. So yeah, let's get the gaskets on here, and then we can kind of really button up all of this and make sure everything's plugged in like we want to. Yeah, there's a lot going on with this, but I think we got it. here we go. Honestly, guys, this is looking great. It's basically ready to go back in. There's a couple of small things we need to do, like engine mounts and put the flywheel on, but we can't do that. Or like the AC compressor, we can't do that until we get it off of here. So this is looking pretty good. 2016 intake is fits up just fine. Everything else seems to be doing that. That's all the time we have for this video. I think we made a ton of progress. I mean, like, look, the FB25 is ready to go back in. Like, we are right there. So really glad you guys came on this project with us. The next part, we're only like 1 or 2 parts left of this build, and then finally we can see the 2.5 liter Crosstrek first generation up and running. So hope you hit the subscribe button so I can see you on the next part. Really excited to have our car back going. Hopefully this works. I mean, look, we built this all ourselves. It's looking pretty good. Anyways, I'm gonna stop blabbing and I'm going to call it a night. So we will see you on the next part. Have fun, have a great time, and I really appreciate you being here. So bye.